Hey, everyone. Welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got an awesome guest on today. She's an 18-year-old born and raised in Bali, Indonesia. And she writes that being away from home for the last few years has given her the opportunity to learn, explore, and find strengths. Throughout life, she's learned the values of compassion and service, values that act as a drive to push and motivate herself every day. She implements these attributes in her involvement in the communities around her, in volunteering, organizing events, and empathizing with those around her. And she reminds herself of that and in being driven. Please join me in welcoming Bhumika Kalra. Welcome.
Thank you. It is nice to be here. Hello, everyone.
Are you ready for 20 questions?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Question 1, tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
All right. So, I'm Bhumika, and I've been moving around all throughout my life. I've been born and brought up in Bali, Indonesia, and I moved to India for my education, and then now I'm here in Canada. I'm currently studying business administration, and hopefully I will be pursuing management information systems. And yeah, I've just been exploring throughout my life.
Great. And just a note for our audience, Bhumika and I first got in touch with each other through a hackathon where she's a lead mentor, I believe.
Yes, I am a mentor lead. And funny enough, I'm not even in UX, but I have a passion in, trying out different things and putting myself in different positions and trying to explore different things that I might like. And this was one of them. So I'm really glad that we came across each other and got to this point. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to skip number 2 and move to number 3. And the question is, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
All right. So this was a tough question to answer because I have never been in a constant state. I've always been moving around, and every day I see something and I'm like, oh my God, I want to do this. And now I'm here thinking about what am I going to do next? And the reason why I do what I do is so that I have the experience that, you know, I am satisfied with what I do. Um, I don't really have a distinct answer of what exactly I'm doing, but doing all of these things and putting myself in different shoes and opening up myself to different comfort zones has been able to give me a direction of what I might be able to do in the future. So doing what I do is um, it actually links to this quote that I really like, which is called "I go to seek a great perhaps," and that is why I do it, because seeking a great perhaps is anything and everything that I'm experiencing right now, and all the way from when I was young to maybe till when I grow old. So seeking a great perhaps is why I do what I do, to figure out all the infinite number of possibilities that I can experience in my daily life and taking risk and like fulfilling my dreams.
That's great. I'm reminded of Dr. Ron Burnett's answer to this question, which was that he wanted to write books and he wanted to spend the rest of his life writing books, and he had wished that he'd done it sooner. And you're kind of at the very beginning of your journey with that, and it's so interesting to see the two kind of polarities there. Question 4 is, what does your future look like?
So to me, with the constant changing and not being able to stay in, a certain position at one point at all times, I'm quite unsure about this. I do want to become, a businesswoman eventually, but I'm always open to a lot of change. I believe there's so much more ahead of me, and I don't think that I can decide for myself right now because there's so many things I want to do. There's so many opportunities that I want to take up, and I feel like there's still a long road ahead. So my future is still uncertain, but I do see myself being able to experience everything and being able to most of my dreams.
Nice. And number five, we say is unique to this podcast. And the question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
All right, so I really like this question. I was born and brought up in Bali, Indonesia, and I've been there since I was 16 years old. However, I decided to take up, the chance of starting my education elsewhere, and that led me to moving to Bangalore. And I studied there, and then I moved to Pune, and for 4 years I was away from home. So Bali becoming a home has kind of become a vacation home, where I go back, spend time with my family, and now I'm mostly apart from them. And throughout like moving around and coming to Canada, moving to India, I've met so many different people. I've had the privilege of studying at a school called United World College, and in that school, I was able to meet people from 80 different countries. And being able to move around has given me the diverse community that I'm grateful to be a part of. And because I've moved from such a young age, I've just been able to experience a lot of things that I've never had the chance to experience. And it's such a surreal experience as well. And being able to put myself and expose myself to different cultures has taught me so much that I didn't think I would learn when I was back at home. So I'm really glad that I took that first step to saying, yes, I'm going to go to boarding school, away from my parents for 4 years. And that was the one of the best decisions I've ever made. And although it was really scary, although it was really uncertain, I believe taking risks is only going to give you the opportunity to, find so much more for yourself.
That's so interesting. I spent some time in Pune as well. I was an assistant professor at AUYPU, a
Oh,
school,
wow.
a school in Pune. It was crazy overlap there. Number six, if you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
So, an advice that I would give my former self is, just take that chance. I've always been someone who's been really shy, not being able to, put myself out there. But moving around, I've realized that you should put yourself out there, make the most of the things that you're doing. And an advice that I would give is, just take that chance, put your foot down and just do it. It's like, it's very cliche to say, but honestly, if I hadn't taken that step, then I wouldn't have been here right now. I wouldn't have the opportunity to be speaking in a podcast. I wouldn't have the opportunity to meet so many different people and start my life in Canada if I hadn't taken that first step. And although I had planned to like study abroad for a really long time, it only took me about 4 years to actually get that started. So, an advice that I would give is, meet people, go for it, take that step, and put yourself in, take that step out of your comfort zone because that's what's going to get you places.
Couldn't agree more. Number seven, what's a day in your life like?
So, as a university student, I go to my classes, but I also focus a lot on my extracurriculars. So, I'm currently in a few clubs in engineering, in UX design, and I've just been taking opportunities in which I can play my role as a business student in different faculties, in different, opportunities, because in business, you get to put yourself wherever you want, like you get to give your expertise, provide your skills in different faculties such as, design and engineering. So I've been working on that. I've also been going to a bunch of conferences, doing a lot of case competitions, and, networking with a lot of people. So my day in the life, while some days it goes really slow, there's a lot of times where I'm like, okay, let's do something, let's have a good day, and I'll take that step to, you know, just do something and have fun with it.
Nice. Great. And if you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
All right, so I believe I already answered this question, um, but it was more of just, going for it and seeking discomfort. There's this YouTube channel that I've always been growing up watching where people just, meet new people, go to different places, and their motto was seek discomfort. So I've always just played that in my head, and I've been trying to incorporate that in my daily life as well. Seeking discomfort is really important because that's when you expose yourself to new things that you might not have been able to experience if you didn't seek that discomfort.
Absolutely. And what's a day in your life like?
So, a day in my life would be just I'm a university student, so I'll be going to my classes, I'll be working on my extracurriculars. There have been a lot of days this month that I had gone to conferences where I met a bunch of girls all across Canada who are university students just like me, meeting new people, networking, and empowering each other. So it was a conference in Calgary, and we met a bunch of people. We had a lot of fun. We networked, we learned from each other, and I've also been doing case competitions with different clubs across my school, and that's been a really fun experience.
I was just last week at a conference in Lisbon, and I was trying to decide what to wear for the conference, and I was asking someone, and I pulled up your photo from from that conference,
Oh, wow.
and I was like, because this person said exactly like the way that you were dressed, that's how I should dress for the conference. So that's what I did. That's so funny.
That's
Um,
amazing.
so number 8, lifelong learning is a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
So, the way that I learn is through experience, through practicality. So, I'm someone who cannot sit down and, just hear someone talk from time to time. Although I feel that's important, I feel like using that opportunity to hear someone speak and hear someone teach you something and putting that into, a practical setting, like actually hands-on learning is really important. So that's how I stay up to date. So I learn through hands-on experiences. I learn through meeting people. I learn through hearing people's stories because the way that they tell me their stories, I try to resonate with them and apply their stories into my daily life as well. Because as an 18-year-old, I'm still really young and I still have a lot of things to, experience. And by talking to people of all ages, by talking to people in different companies, in different, situations, compared to what I'm in, I'm learning so much from them. And the way that I um, work with that is by taking their advice, by taking their lessons and putting that into my daily life and putting that into my future experiences.
Great. And number 9, what tools do you use? Are you mainly digital or are you analog as well?
So while I'm a digital nomad, I also believe that I'm analog. I believe that is really important for me to visualize things. And the way that I do that is by, you know, analog writing down things, creating like to-do lists, and those things really keep me driven. Those things really keep me determined to complete my work, determined to complete like things that I do. Sometimes I have like a list of all the things that I want to experience in Vancouver, being someone who's only been here for 6 months. So I just make a list and I keep checking off the boxes, and it just gives me more hope to like explore more because that's why I'm here, to explore a lot of things, to open myself up to different opportunities that I could experience throughout my day. So yeah, analog is mostly the way that I go.
Nice. Halfway, number 10, how do you deal with work-life balance?
All right, so I struggle with getting stressed out a lot sometimes. However, I believe that it's really important to balance out your work and your life socially as well. So while I do work, I usually try to incorporate my socializing time along with my work. Sometimes I have friends that I go to study with, um, but also I believe that coming here as an international student, I want to make the most out of my things. So I don't want to consume myself with all of my work. So I make sure that I have, time that I spend with my friends, time that I spend with my family, and just making sure that I give myself the opportunity to socialize and not consume myself with all of the work that I'm dealing with, and being able to balance it out also gives me that opportunity to give myself a break as well. Because if you're constantly working, you're constantly wired into your work, then sometimes I would get stressed out. So I make sure that I give myself that, opportunity to sort of step back, cool down, and spend time with other people that would make work not so chaotic as it seems.
Great. And number 11, if you weren't doing what you do now, what would you be doing?
Honestly, I feel like I would just be back at home in Bali, probably at the beach right now, figuring out what I'm going to be doing next. But I'm glad that I'm here, and I don't know how to answer that because I feel like even if I was in Bali, if I wasn't here in Canada, I would still be trying to figure out what's next. What can I
Mm,
do that would make something really impactful in my life? What can I do to change, like, and have a really good experience in my life back at home as well? So I'll constantly be searching and constantly seeking for that great perhaps, like I mentioned before.
great. And 12 is, what would you not like to do with your career?
All right, so like I mentioned before, I'm not someone who likes to sit down and just, do the same thing forever. So I hope that in the future that I don't have to just stick to one thing. And although I feel like sticking to one thing is okay at times, I just feel like I would still expose myself to different opportunities that would allow me to do different things while doing that one constant. So, yeah, I just would like to be able to explore a lot of things rather than just stick to one.
Great. And 13, what's your favorite word, quote, or sentence?
So, my favorite quote is actually a quote that my friend told me. So, he had mentioned one night, he was like, "Oh, as long as you're here, there's more ahead of you." So, this changed and impacted me so much to a point where this changed my whole perspective on looking at things. So, the reason why I I really resonate with this quote is because I would always think that if something went wrong, it's the end of the world. There's like nothing that's going to go right after this. But as long as I'm here, there's so much more ahead of me. And that gives me hope, that even though some things might not be going so well, there are a lot of things that I haven't been able to see or haven't been exposed to yet that would probably be a like another direction or another step to making something greater. And that quote really helped me throughout my life because there have been a lot of times where I struggled in, giving myself that hope that things would get better. And especially with COVID and everything, it was really hard, to keep yourself happy or to keep yourself motivated. And this quote has helped me for so long. And I'm really grateful to that friend who had told me this quote.
Great. And how about a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Um, I don't think I have an answer to this. I'm not really sure what my least favorite word, quote, or sentence is. Or maybe, honestly, my favorite, like least favorite would probably be don't do it, like don't try. Reason being is like, why not? Why can't I just try and go for it? It's kind of that barrier. Like, why would I want to have a barrier to trying out new things or taking that risk? So that's probably my least favorite word.
Great. I like it. And 15, if you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what word would you choose?
I think one word could probably be ambitious or a risk taker. Reason being, I've just made sure that I've been taking a lot of risks. And although those risks are calculated risks, I believe taking risks is really important. And that's all I've been doing throughout my life, whether it be moving around or like bungee jumping, even. So just taking that risk. So, risk taker would probably be something that I would describe myself as.
Great. And 16, what keeps you up at night?
what keeps me up at night? So I believe that uncertainty is what keeps me up at night. Because I'm always thinking about what's next, and that kind of holds me back from staying in the moment as well, because I'm always thinking about like what should I do next? Where am I gonna go next? What's gonna come for me next? And that uncertainty and like that thought about the future always makes me think about, you know, what if it won't work out? What if it will work out? And that's what keeps me up at night, because I'm just constantly thinking about, you know, what's next? What's going to happen in my life? So, yeah.
And what's a dream you're chasing?
So a dream that I'm chasing is, I guess, um, that would be, just being successful, and having like, a point where I'm satisfied with my personal growth and personal development, because I'm still learning. I'm still trying to be more confident. I'm still trying to be more secure with myself. And I feel like a dream that I would really like to fulfill is being able to be content with myself. So that's something that I'm still chasing. And fortunately, it has been working. I've been improving, and I'm really glad that, it only goes up from here.
Great. And final stretch here, number 18, what inspires you?
So what inspires me? I feel like there's a lot of things that inspire me. People, just a lot of my dad. My dad inspires me a lot. Um, Reason being, he's gone through a lot in his, life, and he's currently an event organizer, and I've always wanted to be like him because he's so confident with himself. He really makes sure that he makes people happy, and he makes me happy, and I'm really inspired by him because I would like to be like him. He's very strong and he's very driven, and whenever he has something to do, he makes sure he always does it with a smile on his face, making sure that he's not stressed out, in a calm composure. And I would love to be like him. So he inspires me a lot, and I want to be as driven as he is.
Great. And you're early on, but number 19 is any advice you'd like to share?
Well, I think you should just take that risk. Make sure you go to seek a great perhaps. And there's so many infinite possibilities that you can take to reflect on what your why is, and to make a change, or like take risks and fulfill your dreams. So you should just go to seek a great perhaps, because this quote is actually from Franco Rebellia. He was a poet, and his last words were, "I go to seek a great perhaps." And in a movie, and in a book, John Green, he actually said, he used this quote, and he said, "That's why I'm going, so I don't have to wait until I die to start seeking a great perhaps."
Mm.
And taking this advice means that there's so much ahead of you right now. Why don't you just start seeking for it? And why wait till the end to know what you actually want? And I feel like using this quote just gives you that sense of direction on where you want to go in the future. So that's probably an advice that I'd like to share. It's more of a quote, but yeah.
Great. And number 20, which is about having a call to action. How can our listeners keep tabs on you? How do we follow you? What should we look at?
So I am on LinkedIn, of course. You can just search me up, Bhumika Kalra. I'm an SFU student, and I'm also on Instagram at Bhumika Kalra with another A in the end. And yeah, I'm almost everywhere. I'm also on YouTube. I used to post covers as I used to sing, and you could watch some of my covers on there too. So
Awesome. Well,
yeah.
thank you so much for joining today. You're early on in your journey, but it's so great to hear how you're really trying to open up yourself as much as possible to any kinds of to as many kinds of things as possible. I think what no better way to do it. So glad to have you on the show. Thanks.
Yes, thank you so much. It was really nice to be here and talk about my story.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.